Hello and welcome. My name's Courtney, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the challenges associated with the practical implementation of digital tools. And the key tools we're looking at are things like robot process automation and artificial intelligence, and a subset of that is machine learning. So these are the main tools of digital technology, and of course they feed into digital finance. So I want to explore this in relation to the World Health Organization and their approach to digital health, because this is a huge area with strong financial implications, health implications, government planning, and it's incredibly complicated. So the WHO, they brought out a global strategy on digital health, 2020 to 2025. But we actually have to go back more than 15 years to when they started planning this, to give you an idea of the breadth and the depth of what's being undertaken here. So in 2005, there was an urging to consider drawing up long-term strategic plans for developing and implementing e-health services, these electronic health services, this digital approach. So why? To develop the infrastructure for information and communication technology. So without the infrastructure, the foundation stones, how do you do digital health? And the underlying purpose, equitable, affordable, universal access to benefits. So this is a way of providing better, faster, more healthcare to more people by using these digital tools. So we want to look at this digital approach, and then we also want to look at the challenges faced. So this 2020 to 2025 plan, it's quite clever. And if you're going to develop a plan and address the challenges that come your way, you need to break it down: objectives, outcomes, outputs, impacts. And from that, you're going to develop your resourcing, your people, your money, your time, technology. So what are the implementation challenges? Well, if you want to do a global health digitalization project, you got to work with a huge number of stakeholders: hospital, medical profession, governments, people within those different cultures. You've got to design an effective architecture. And of course, every single person wants to do it their own way. If you know any history in relation to things like train lines, choosing the width of the rails, called the gauge, has caused massive problems across countries and within countries. If you're in Australia, in the old days, the train would reach the border of one state and you would get off and get onto another train because the railways were different widths, and each jurisdiction refused to work and submit to the others, so they fought over architecture. And what about rules and effective governance? So we have the digital factors to consider, good architecture, but we also have the financial side. What about the payment systems? Are they protected? Are they suitable? Do they work in areas where there's limited infrastructure? So in many countries now, they've skipped or leapfrogged the idea of banks and institutions, and the payments are happening, for example, via mobile phone. So many people may not have bank accounts, but they can still do electronic transfers of funding. And so accelerating digitization, this is the target and impact. How do you accelerate implementation? You need money, time, resources, infrastructure. And so this is the importance of financial and accounting professionals to help plan and organize these projects. And never forget the final outcome, because when we face all these hurdles, we need to be able to communicate to people why we're pursuing this, despite all the challenges. And in this case, healthier populations. So some digital tools: artificial intelligence, machine learning is a really powerful area where we can improve the delivery of health services. And one of the great things it can do is reduce inefficiencies, because data is transferred rather than paper and forms and hospital to hospital. Different doctors in different parts of the world can view the same files virtually immediately. Fantastic. You can improve access because you can transport literally over the internet and communicate. You can reduce costs. One of the things I'm really interested in is the improvement of diagnosis. So when you put all your data into a system, it has access to tens of thousands of data points. So when you're diagnosing, for example, heart issues or stroke or potential medicines, humans can only consider so much. And the software is shown to be cleverer than the people when it comes to saying this person may have had a heart attack or they're prone to it. And this is incredibly clever. So we want to take full advantage of these digital tools. And that'll allow for more personalized medicine, because as people key punch all of their unique details, you can be compared and contrasted to much broader data sets. But what are the challenges? Well, a good example published recently in March this year, Ontario's digital health program. It's got a data quality problem. Now, money has been spent, so the time and the money hasn't been a problem, but the data quality. So this huge problem of how do we get accurate data? And this can be a real problem because of coding systems, integration, getting systems to talk to each other. And one of the other key problems is going to be the legal rules, including data access. And these things, if people enter data in different ways, if they interpret the different codes and classifications, we've got some serious problems. Another issue is privacy. Medical data is incredibly valuable. Think of insurance companies who don't want to insure people who have medical issues because they don't want to pay out. Now, if they could gain access to those medical records, what's going to happen there? So you can see that there's going to be pressure and intent and even unethical behavior that can cause serious problems. So how do you design a digital data-driven strategy that still has good governance and protection mechanisms in place? And an additional challenge that was identified by the World Health Organization is this idea of lesser developed countries. How do they catch up and participate? So do they have the right infrastructure, the electricity grid and the internet access and the ability to communicate? Have they got enough people with enough education to implement this and use the data effectively? Is there enough financial investment? And this is where things like agile funding methods, crowdfunding, for example, can be really powerful. And dealing with legacy infrastructure. Who owns the technology? How do we keep things private when some countries have different types of rules in relation to how they deal with their people? Security and implementing global standards. So as a summary, there are huge benefits, regardless of industry. You can be in commerce, you can be in finance, you can be in the public sector, you can even be in the local council area, and digitizing and using digital tools, artificial intelligence, machine learning, things like that to analyze, make better decisions, help in reduce costs and improve efficiency is fabulous. Some examples here, taking a census is much faster and easier when it's done online. Budgeting, because you can track costs and expenses much more rapidly. And even converting all of those public sector records into digital records are incredibly powerful ways. And the final example here, in the United Kingdom, huge amounts of funding are being allocated to test out these digital tools and data standards to keep improving things and making better decisions. So I hope you found that overview of the key challenges useful and give you a chance to explore these concepts further. Thanks.